Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Swipe Up, episode 212. This is the show where I share my opinions on current events, and I have to give all of the fragile fascists out there a bit of a trigger warning. I know a lot of you people get triggered just from a trigger warning, I've noticed, but I have to be mindful of your fragile feelings, so I'm giving the people out there a trigger warning that you might be triggered if you are anti-trans people, if you are a Second Amendment worshiper, if you worship guns, you're going to be triggered. If you worship everything that the Republicans do, you're going to be triggered. And if you think COVID is fake, you're going to be triggered. All of these warnings are for you. If that made you angry, guess what? You might have been triggered and you have been warned. So with that said, with those trigger warnings for the fragile fascists that happen to be watching or maybe watching a clip of this, that is a shout out to you to spare your delicate feelings, not to melt away and cry in my comments. With all of that said, let's get into it, shall we? Starting off with this first story, which I think is just a crazy, doesn't make any sense. Warner Brothers' boss wants to make Harry Potter movies if J.K. Rowling agrees. Warner Brothers just got bought out by Discovery. So the guy who is running Discovery is now running Warner Brothers and Discovery, which is also HBO Max, which is also all those different properties, which is a guy that, on Discovery Channel is mainly known for reality TV, which is just horribly written amateur acting and just ridiculousness. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Warner Brothers franchises that exist. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the streaming services like HBO Max, who are now in control of this person. And the idea that they would want, one, to have more Harry Potter movies, which I don't know who's clamoring for that. I happen to be a fan of the Harry Potter series. I'm not a fan of J.K. Rowling. I think what her transphobic views of things that she seems to be doubling and tripling down on are pretty short-sighted and hateful and ignorant on her part, and not necessarily a fan of hers, but I am happy with the franchise of movies that was created based on her books. Last year, I went and watched all of the Harry Potter movies, which I had not seen the last 4 of the movies in the franchise, and absolutely loved it. It is, in my opinion, one of the best movie franchises, hands down, right? And I know I should have given a trigger warning for all the Star Wars fans and all the Marvel fans and all the DC fans and all those people that love very mediocre franchises in film. But I think top to bottom, the Harry Potter movies are great. And they start off pretty bad. The first 2 are kind of shaky. But I think by Prisoner of Azkaban to the very end, I think they're amazing. I love that franchise. And I have no desire for more. I tried to get into the Creatures of Hiddenness, whatever the spin-off series was, which takes place in the U.S. Couldn't get into it. And I think there's 3 movies in that spin-off franchise. No real desire to watch those. It doesn't have the magic, as it were, that the Harry Potter films do. And so not only am I not excited for anything more from J.K. Rowling, I'm not excited for anything more of the Harry Potter franchise. I think it's fine. Leave it alone. Move on to something else. And the fact that this guy is probably just looking at numbers going, well, Harry Potter seems to do really well on our streaming services, so we should do more of these, right? That's what we do. That's what Hollywood does. They just do more of the same thing. It's pretty much Disney's game plan. It's like, how much can we use a an IP and just wring out every last penny of that IP. How many times can we regurgitate the same stories over and over and over again? What kind of new IPs could we purchase that that have a giant fan base, and we could just run those right into the ground, right? That's Disney's kind of MO, and it seems like Discovery is doing a sadder version of that in some ways with this kind of news. So I'm in no way excited for that. I don't think it's going to have, like, it's going to be all new actors. I didn't like the newest stuff she's come up with. I'm not a fan of hers, not really excited to get into something new that she creates. J.K. Rowling. I think she needs to, her and Dave Chappelle need to really rethink who they're going to put a target on and to talk down to in society, and maybe lay off marginalized groups and reconsider your ignorance in this situation. But yeah, no aspect of this am I excited about. And it really, the only thing it makes me feel is worried about the future of Warner Brothers, the future of HBO Max, and different aspects of that I actually do enjoy, because I love HBO Max. Has been one of my favorite streaming services. Amazing movies. They have an amazing back catalog of movies. Obviously, HBO, well known for original series, has been for the entire time since Sopranos, The Wire, but also even newer shows like Euphoria. Like, what's a newer one that I've watched in addition to Euphoria? The White Lotus is great. Great things from HBO Max. But this kind of news only makes me worried. I guess I could read more of this. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav. David Zaslav. Man, I am bad at reading. Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav has said he wants to make more Harry Potter films if J.K. Rowling agrees. Maybe she doesn't have to be involved. She just has to give the okay, and maybe other people will write it, which would make the most sense if they are at all in touch with society. During an investors' Q3 call this week, the CEO opened up about his ambitions to potentially work on further productions of the Wizarding World, but only if the creator herself will agree. Quote, "We are going to focus on the franchise," he says. Quote, "We haven't had a Superman movie in 13 years. We haven't done a Harry Potter in 15 years because the story is over, dummy. And the Superman movies, let's probably stop hiring Zack Snyder to do stuff. I don't. It's the guy. I understand loyal troll fan base, but let's stop wasting money on that guy. The DC movies and Harry Potter movies provided a lot of profits for Warner Brothers over the past 25 years. No duh. He added, quote, "If we do something with JK on Harry Potter going forward." If we can do something with JK on Harry Potter going forward. That's a weird quote. Yeah. Not excited. Doesn't specifically say they want her to write it. They don't want it to be, but still, it's like, oh, this has made us money. Let's do more of the thing that makes us money. Let's not actually try to invest in anything new. Let's not try to look at creative people who have shown success with things that have made successful series or movies and give them money to create a new product. Let's not focus on creating new things. Let's just focus on regurgitating the same boring thing until it's just been regurgitated so many times it turns into Will Smith being a purple genie in a garbage live action movie. Let's take a little break from the show to promote gift certificates. If you want to purchase artwork for somebody, you have an art lover in your life, and you think they would like my art, but you don't know what painting to get them. I have over 2,000 original pieces of art for sale in my store, along with shirts and prints and other things. So I can understand that being a bit daunting if you're trying to buy something for somebody else. Give them the gift certificate, and then they can go to my website, inspireddisorder.com, and they can buy whatever paintings they want. They can buy whatever prints they want. They can buy t-shirts. They can buy hats. They can buy all the different merch. Gift certificates, which are available currently at inspireddisorder.com. And now let's get back to the show. Let's move on. Halloween horror. At least a dozen shot in mass shooting, including children. This is from ABC7 LA. At least a dozen people, including children, are shot in a Halloween night drive-by shooting during a vigil on Chicago's West Side. Another person is hurt after being hit by a car in the incident. Just what triggered the explosion of violence? Eyewitness News with an update on the critical injured victims this morning at 6 from ABC7. Yeah, I mean, Chicago definitely known for gun violence, and all the Second Amendment worshipers and conservatives will say, "Oh, it's a blue city. It's got very strict gun laws," but cities, in many instances, do not have the ability to make specific gun laws. The thing with the fact that gun laws aren't federally regulated means that a lot of the guns that are used in shootings in Chicago come from out of state. And if you want to look at gun violence and how that breaks down to the voting tendencies of the state, in general, red states have the most gun violence. So, you know, if you look at the numbers, if you look at the facts of the situation and break it down and do your actual research, red states have the most gun violence. Even blue cities in red states, you can't really do much if the state laws can't be dictated by the city. And it's pretty clear that access to tools specifically designed to end life effortlessly are tools that are used to end life effortlessly, and to have those tools accessible to everybody makes it way easier for people who want to end life effortlessly acquiring those tools, right? Pretty easy. Tools to do a job. If the job you want done is to end life, you get the tool that's most likely used in ending life, most convenient. Little children are able to end life with the use of the tool. That's how like little education a human being needs to use a gun to kill somebody. Little children are able to do it. And it's unnecessary. I am all for regulating guns, automatic weaponry, AR-15s, machine guns, all those things, assault weapons should be things, weapons used for war should be heavily regulated. I am way more in line with the gun laws of Canada than I am with the majority of the United States. And because mass shootings, like in this story, not only happen outside in places where outside drive-bys happen, but also tons of kids are being murdered all the time. Mass shootings more than there are days in the year. So, if you want to stop kids from dying from gun violence, we need to start regulating guns. Pretty easy. And I know all the Second Amendment worshipers are very triggered by these radical ideas that I have, and they want to share the information that they've ingested from all of the memes that fill all of their social media accounts, right? They've been studying all the propaganda of how to argue with some liberal about gun regulation and how it's their right, it's in the Constitution, blah, blah, blah. Even though it says well regulated in the Second Amendment. Assault rifles weren't really invented when these old people who didn't know shit wrote the Constitution. A document that's supposed to be, is designed to be changed, is designed to evolve and change with the times, should have been rewritten multiple times over the years. The fact that people are listening and following their version of words that have been translated into whatever suits. Like, they want to own a lot of guns, so they will translate these weird bearing arms into, like, yes, we should be able to arm ourselves, with the delusion that, one, they're going to stop tyranny, despite the fact I didn't see any gun owners trying to stop January 6th, right? I would imagine a lot of gun owners participated in January 6th, right? So not really trying to stop tyranny in any way. And the massive delusion that some local militia is somehow going to find success fighting against the largest military in the world. Right? Even our police departments are larger than most countries' militaries. And they think they're going to buy enough guns to somehow overthrow the government, to stop the police and military from doing whatever they want. I mean, you don't own fighter jets, you don't own tanks. There's a lot of weaponry that is not at your disposal that not only the U.S. military, but other militaries around the world have access to. So those delusional excuses for your quote-unquote right to own an assault weapon are pretty laughable. And it's sad. It's really sad how just desperate you are to defend gun manufacturers and guns way more than you are children dying, women getting their freedoms taken away, way more than you care about poor people. And like instead of actually helping people, you just want to be selfish. You don't want them taking away your little toy gun, because you want to be able to kill people. You buy a gun because you want to be able to kill people. You say it's to defend yourself, but it's not a defensive gun. Guns don't stop bullets. Somebody comes, breaks into your house to shoot you, your gun doesn't block these bullets, right? You bought a gun for the delusional idea that you're somehow going to kill that person before they get a chance to kill you, right? But it's to kill somebody. You bought it to kill somebody, right? Like, I bought a hammer to pound a nail into a piece of wood, right? I didn't buy a hammer to make a salad, right? You buy a gun because you want to use it for what it was invented for, ending life, right? Maybe it's to hunt, but nobody needs assault rifles to hunt unless you're in Texas flying in a helicopter trying to take out invasive hogs, in which case you don't need to have that gun in your home. You can have that regulated, locked up somewhere for when you're going to go hunting. Then you get it out, right? Maybe take tests to prove that you have gun literacy, that you know how to be safe, right? When you get a driver's license, you have to take a written test, you have to take a practical test, and then you just get a permit. Before you even get your license, you have to get insurance in case you accidentally cause damage, right? You don't have to buy insurance with a gun. You don't have to get a license. You don't have to take tests. Some places maybe, but in most cases, like if you're in Texas, they almost give you a gun for moving to Texas. So I'm sorry, all the Second Amendment worshipers out there, the people that think the Second Amendment was a bestowed right given to them by the Lord Jesus Christ himself, right? He flew down from heaven in his tank and signed the document himself specifically saying that bear arms equals AR-15s and other assault rifles. I know you're crying. I know you're upset. And I will gladly delete whatever nonsense you try and flood my comments with. Right? And I know if this is on social media, if I go to your account, if it's not a burner account, if it's not a private account, you actually have a public account, every single post is going to be some propaganda meme because that's your identity. That's who you are, is just a propaganda meme. So anyway, horrific Halloween. Surprising. I didn't see any stories about fentanyl. I guess all the drug dealers decided not to give away drugs. Whew, crazy. Didn't see any razor blades either, right? So that the stuff they were trying to make you scared of when I was growing up still doesn't exist, right? But this real threat, this like thing that people like defend, like will try to overthrow the government in order to defend this desire they have to keep their little guns, right? Nobody cares about that, right? There's proof. There's literally proof of concept in every country that has severe gun laws that they work. There's proof in this country when assault rifles were banned, it worked. It brought mass shootings down, right? There's proof everywhere that gun laws will help decrease this type of tragedy. But that's not what their propaganda gets them scared about, right? Their propaganda gets them scared about rainbow fentanyl and like drag shows. That's the thing that's what these patriots are scared of. Drag shows. Just ridiculous. There's this most pathetic scaredy cats who get so emotional. They get triggered by me even mentioning trigger warning. The warning itself is triggering to them. How dare you try to warn me that I'm going to get emotional? I'm so emotional about that. Let's move on. Judge restricts far-right group from carrying weapons, taking video at ballot drop boxes. We've seen this in, I think, Arizona. There are these groups that are monitoring drop boxes, right? They're wearing their fatigues because they always got to be in cosplay. That military cosplay is very, very popular aesthetic for these patriots, right? They have to have the whole costume, right? When they get videotaped, they're on script. They know exactly what they're not going to say as they're videotaping people, as they're following people, as they're intimidating people who are going to vote in these drop boxes. People wearing body armor or weapons have been observed at ballot drop boxes in multiple states after Trump and his allies urged supporters to monitor them. Because the only proof of voter fraud was from Trump voters. All of their exhaustive investigation turned up that they paid for, that they demanded, showed the only fraud that happened were Trump supporters trying to fuck with things. It's amazing, these people. The group Clean Elections USA is led by a QAnon adherent who claims the 2020 election was stolen. Obviously, that's just it's one of many delusional, fictional realities they love to exist in. The Arizona judge temporarily restricting order prohibiting members from filming or photographing voters within 75 feet of the drop box, following people going to drop-off boxes, physically being within 75 feet of the boxes or an entrance to a facility where the boxes are located, and from yelling at or speaking to voters dropping off ballots unless first engaged. Now, one thing that we know, especially when it comes to police, when it comes to restraining orders of any sort, the police, despite having massive budgets, supposedly being there to protect and serve, to uphold the law, they are not required at all to uphold any restrictive order whatsoever. If you get an order for somebody, you have a stalker, let's say, and you get a restraining order on them, right? And that person violates the restraining order, the cops do not have to do anything, and regularly don't do anything. I mean, they don't really do much anyway, except for trying to collect, overtime pay, trying to scam their departments in order to get a bigger piece of that budget, or, violating human rights, murdering people. They like to do that kind of stuff. A lot of lawsuits that the taxpayers have to pay for when police violate human rights on a regular basis, regularly maiming and murdering men, women, and children very regularly. Pretty amazing. So yeah, despite the fact that these judges, there's a restraining order on these people, 75 feet, zoom lenses exist, I'm sure they're still going to do it. I would imagine some of the members of this group are part of the police department. Same with January 6th. There was a lot of law enforcement that took part, literally saw law enforcement, people of law enforcement, inviting in those terrorists to overthrow the government, right? There's clearly a major issue with white supremacy in the military. If Google LASD, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, Google LASD gangs. There are multiple gangs within the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And in order to get one of their tattoos, you have to murder a citizen, right? Just like any other kind of a gang would do, but they get badges and huge budgets and maybe a nice vacation when they kill somebody. And on the very off chance they kill somebody and that makes national news, there's global protests for them killing somebody, in that very small percentage chance that they murder somebody, that murder is caught on tape, that video goes viral, and there are global protests, they might actually get charged with murder. Other than that, it's usually, maybe unpaid suspension, maybe paid suspension in a lot of cases. Maybe you just get fired. But very, very rarely do they ever serve any jail time for terrorizing citizens, murdering citizens, violating human rights. So to hold my breath and think that they're going to uphold this thing, I can't see happening, but it's nice to see that at least there are some functioning members in the judicial system actually not completely corrupted like there are in the Supreme Court. So let's take a little break from the show to promote The Many Faces. That's right, I am also an artist. I do ink paintings on paper of abstract faces. A new face, a new painting gets released every single day over at inspireddisorder.com. So head on over to my website to purchase original artwork directly from the artist. Also, there are prints available for select images. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com, buy original art, buy prints if that's your jam, if you want 8x10 prints on high quality paper. Also, if you're looking to wear some art, there are shirts available with original artwork by myself. Select faces from The Many Faces are also available in t-shirt form. You go to inspireddisorder.com, you buy original artwork, you buy prints, you buy shirts. You're supporting an artist directly. And if you're the type of person that likes to invest in NFTs, there are also NFTs available for select faces. Go to inspireddisorder.com now. And now let's get back to the show. Let's move on to our last story. Nearly half of COVID patients haven't fully recovered months later, study finds. This is from the New York Times. The findings strengthen calls from scientists for more expansive care options for long COVID patients. So this is what happens when you pretend COVID doesn't exist and then care more about businesses than you do human beings, right? A stranger's business is more valuable to you than human life is. So in addition to the 1 million plus people that have died from COVID in this country, no longer alive, that's, mothers, fathers, grandfathers, children, just no longer there because people were too fragile to put on a mask, too delusional to get a vaccine, too uncaring, too unsympathetic to at all care about people that might be immunocompromised. For those that survive COVID, that do not die, a lot of them have residual effects known as long COVID, and there's a lot of issues. I haven't gotten COVID that I know of. I think maybe when it first started, I may have gotten it. Either way, don't actually know if I did. Thankfully, haven't. My friend's kid has had it. Right? He was okay. Had the vaccine, so it wasn't a big deal. But going to school, they don't have mask mandates anymore, so it's just like, well, let's just let it go. Let's just see what happens. The economy is way too important. But yeah, I've seen a lot of things on long COVID and how it's going to be a major issue, and how the effects of it, the long-term effects, are unknown. So I still cautious. I mean, my lifestyle is pretty secluded anyway. I don't socialize with people. I'm not going out into public. I literally don't have a car right now, so I can't really go anywhere, which is perfectly fine for me. No desire. I don't have health insurance, so to get sick in any way would be financially destructive for me. And knowing that COVID is horrible, like even when my roommate's kid got it, I just no desire to get it. Hopefully he doesn't have long COVID issues. Who knows? But wouldn't be surprised if people that have gotten COVID have been impacted, and probably makes sense why they are acting so batshit crazy, right? Famous people, even people that are anti-vaxxers like Joe Rogan, who got COVID at least once. I wouldn't be surprised if he's dumber now. It would make more sense for the things that he says and the way he acts and how just far right he has become, thinking that Ron DeSantis is the rational decision, the guy who traffics humans for political purposes, who uses human beings as like PR stunts, guy who bans books and makes laws against marginalized people, guy who votes against federal relief funding for disaster areas and yet begs for federal funding when he has a disaster area, the guy who does PR photo shoots wearing white boots and stopping people from actually doing help so he can get his photo op. That's the rational guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if the reason why Joe Rogan thinks Ron DeSantis is a rational option for president was caused by his deteriorated brain from having long COVID. Wouldn't be surprised. So anyway, there's so many things that people could be crying in my comments about. I gave you the trigger warning at the top. Maybe I need to add that to when I clip these episodes out. I don't know. But let's do some shout outs and get out of here, shall we? Shout out to Puberty, shout out ABC7LA, shout out LA Times, and shout out Dave_Anthony_. But most importantly, shout out to you.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.